Hello everyone, welcome to my channel SW Metro official channel.
Robyn in tears as court hands Janelle everything, Kody left with nothing. Robyn Brown was left in tears as the judge ruled in favor of Janelle Brown, awarding her virtually everything in the bitter divorce battle against Kody Brown. The once dominant patriarch of the sister wives family was left with nothing, no property, no significant assets, and, most devastatingly, no legal claim over the family's shared resources. The ruling marks a dramatic fall from grace for Kody, who once prided himself on controlling the financial and emotional dynamics of his plural marriage. Meanwhile, Janelle, long seen as the most financially savvy and level-headed of the wives, emerged victorious, securing her independence and future after years of alleged manipulation and financial imbalance within the family. The courtroom erupted in gasps as the judge delivered the final verdict, leaving Robyn sobbing uncontrollably while Kody sat stone-faced, his once unshakable confidence shattered. For years, fans of Sister Wives have watched the Brown family's tumultuous relationships play out on screen, but few could have predicted such a decisive legal defeat for Kody. Janelle, who had quietly but strategically built her own financial stability separate from Kody's often chaotic decision-making, presented a compelling case that the court found impossible to ignore. Evidence revealed that Kody had disproportionately favored Robyn in financial matters, leaving Janelle and other wives struggling to maintain equity in the family's assets. Janelle's legal team meticulously documented instances where Kody and Robyn made major financial decisions without consulting the other wives, including the controversial purchase of Robyn's $1 million mansion in Flagstaff while other wives lived in far more modest conditions. The court ruled that these actions demonstrated financial impropriety and a breach of the family's implied partnership agreements, leading to the staggering decision to strip Kody of nearly all marital assets and award them to Janelle. Robyn, who had long been accused by fans of wielding undue influence over Kody, was inconsolable as the judgment was read. Her tearful outburst in the courtroom only fueled speculation that her marriage to Kody was built on financial dependency rather than genuine partnership. Sources close to the family reveal that Robyn had been assured by Kody that the court would rule in their favor, leaving her completely unprepared for the devastating outcome. Meanwhile, Janelle remained composed, her quiet strength shining through as justice was finally served. For her, the ruling wasn't just about money, it was about reclaiming her autonomy after years of being sidelined in Kody's increasingly unbalanced family structure. The fallout from this legal battle is expected to ripple through the entire Brown family, with Christine and Mary likely re-evaluating their own financial and legal ties to Kody. Christine, who has already divorced Kody and found happiness outside the family, reportedly cheered Janelle's victory from afar, while Mary's reaction remains more guarded. As for Kody, this ruling represents more than just a financial loss, it's a humiliating blow to his ego and his perceived authority over the family. With no major assets left under his name and his once loyal wives distancing themselves, the future looks bleak for the disgraced patriarch. Meanwhile, Janelle's victory serves as a powerful message to women in polygamous or patriarchal relationships. Financial independence and self-advocacy can triumph over manipulation and control. As the dust settles, one thing is clear, the power dynamics in the Brown family have irrevocably shifted. Robyn's tears symbolize the end of an era where Kody's favoritism dictated the family's fate, while Janelle's triumph heralds a new chapter of empowerment and justice. With Kody left with nothing, the question now is, where does he go from here? And more importantly, will Robyn stand by him when the money and control are gone? Only time will tell, but for now, Janelle's victory is a moment of long overdue vindication. Robyn Brown's face was streaked with mascara as she clutched a crumpled tissue in her trembling hand, the fluorescent courtroom lights catching every tear that rolled down her cheeks, while the judge's gavel echoed like a death knell for everything she and Kody had believed they still had left in the world. Janelle, sitting tall and composed in a deep navy blazer that seemed to radiate a quiet authority, barely allowed herself the ghost of a smile as the final ruling was read aloud, a verdict so decisive, so absolutely one-sided, that even veteran court observers later admitted they had never seen anything quite like it, because in that moment, the court handed Janelle everything and left Kody with nothing, stripping him of any claim, asset, or property that had once been part of his grasp, and it was more than just a legal win for Janelle, It was a symbolic severing of the tangled emotional and financial web that had bound her to Kody and Robyn for years, a moment when the woman who had so often played the role of the calm, practical, middle wife finally stood center stage as the undeniable victor. Robyn, unable to process the magnitude of what had just happened, whispered something to Kody, who sat slumped in his chair with the posture of a man who had not only lost the fight but the will to keep fighting, his eyes fixed on some invisible point beyond the courtroom wall, as if hoping that if he stared long enough, he might find a loophole in reality that would reverse this crushing defeat, but there was none, because the ruling was ironclad. Janelle would receive full ownership of the disputed properties, complete control over any remaining family financial accounts that had been in question, and even certain personal items that Kody had fought to keep, while Kody himself would walk away with not a single legal entitlement. It was a stunning end to months of bitter litigation that had started quietly but escalated into one of the most talked about legal dramas in the sister wives universe, with fans dissecting every court date and leaked detail like amateur legal analysts, noting how Janelle's attorneys had come in with a meticulous, bulletproof strategy that seemed to anticipate every move Kody and Robyn's side might try, countering them with facts, records, and receipts that painted a devastating picture of financial mismanagement and broken agreements. And while Kody had once been the swaggering patriarch who could set the tone for every family conversation, here in this courtroom he was reduced to a man struggling to find words, visibly rattled by the judge's unwavering tone. Robyn, her voice cracking, tried to speak on his behalf during a recess, telling reporters outside that this isn't fair and that the truth didn't come out today, but her pleas rang hollow against the black and white clarity of the court's ruling, and for Janelle, who had spent years watching her financial contributions vanish into a collective pot that often seemed to disproportionately benefit Kody and Robyn's lifestyle, the win was nothing short of vindication, a moment where the scales of justice finally tipped her way after years of quiet frustration. Witnesses said Robyn kept glancing at Kody as if expecting him to suddenly stand up and deliver some impassioned speech that would turn everything around, but instead he remained still, his shoulders hunched, his jaw set in grim resignation, because deep down, he seemed to know that the fight was over, that Janelle had outplayed him both in strategy and in sheer determination, and when the judge finally called the session to a close, there was a surreal hush in the room, broken only by the shuffling of papers and the sound of Janelle's legal team offering her quiet congratulations, while Robyn dabbed at her swollen eyes, still murmuring about how they would appeal, though even she didn't sound convinced. Outside, cameras flashed and reporters swarmed, fans holding signs that alternated between cheering Janelle's name and mocking Kody's downfall, with some even yelling, "Team Janelle forever," as Kody and Robyn made their way to a waiting car, avoiding eye contact with the crowd. For Janelle, this wasn't just about property or accounts, it was about reclaiming her independence and drawing a definitive line between her future and the past she shared with Kody, a past that had often left her feeling like the silent workhorse of the family, undervalued and overruled, and now, with the full weight of the court behind her, she could finally step into a new chapter without the constant shadow of Kody's control. Analysts later speculated that Kody's refusal to negotiate early on had cost him dearly, as Janelle's side had been willing to settle before trial, but his insistence on fighting to the bitter end, perhaps fueled by pride, perhaps by Robyn's encouragement, had backfired spectacularly, leaving him not only assetless but also with significant legal fees to cover. Robyn, for her part, appeared devastated not just by the material loss but by the public nature of the humiliation, aware that sister wives fans were already dissecting her every facial expression, turning her tear-streaked face into memes and hashtags within hours. Yet for all the public gloating, those close to Janelle say she remained gracious in private, refusing to trash Kody or Robyn even when prompted, instead focusing on the sense of peace and closure the ruling had brought her. And while Kody's future now looked uncertain, stripped of the properties that had once been part of his long-term vision and without a clear financial foothold, Janelle's path seemed bright, with new opportunities opening up now that she was no longer tethered to the legal and financial baggage of her past. Still, the image that lingered for most who had been there that day was of Robyn's tears, falling in steady streams as she sat beside a man who had once been the center of a sprawling plural family empire, now reduced to a single, silent figure in a courtroom where his last stand had failed, the echo of the judge's final words sealing a fate that no amount of charm, persuasion, or patriarchal authority could undo.